Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. My name is Katana Malinowski, and I am the host of Transformational Art with Katana, making the unmanageable manageable. Welcome. I have with me here today my friend, Pei-Ming Sun. She is a life strategist certified with Tiny Habits Method, and she's specialized in healthy aging. Welcome today, Peiming.
Thank you, Katana. This is so fun. We have this chance to talk about life. So looking forward to it.
Yes, it is nice to be the one hosting you this time. You were the one to host me the very first time, and I've enjoyed that conversation. So I'm looking forward to this one. My first question for you today is, who is Peiming as a person?
Well, that's like I wear so many hats. Like if I really want to go who I am, I really don't have an answer. I am blank. It can bring anything. But I think most people know me is from Taiwan. Like I have this journey, I call it East-West navigation. And 30 years ago, I was living in Taiwan with my family, and we live the lifestyle very traditional way. We follow actually like thousand years pattern. At that time, I don't understand why we don't do, it's just like my friend, they're doing things differently. But so that growing up, and also I grow up in the society that time, they are striving from nothing to become abundance. So in that way, I see anybody, maybe they migrate from China to Taiwan, and they lost everything through the process. But what I see as the kids' eyes, they collaborate. Like they don't really have the door close to other people's kids. So as a kid, we just zooming out the people and depend on the time. Oh, time to eat, and they are servers. So they just put the food on the table, and we just like a kid, oh, hungry, and and we eat around that. It's like the village just kind of grow together. And we don't have a boundary in the way because we own nothing. We don't have anything to protect. So we don't have burglar in that time. People still maybe do something, but most of it, we just let it happen because they need it. So in that mindset, I grow up really just like people can collaborate. People can be happy when they don't have anything. In order to see that, they just need to feel contented, right? They have enough to share. They have enough. They have this gratitude. They are still alive. So in that way, that's how my childhood download. I can really see people can be like abundance and thriving even in the very chaotic situation. So if you say who's paying me on my identity, I would say I'm the East-West navigator because I navigated with different side of different things, and I'm still don't know who I am.
Yes, you bring up a very good point about having and what having gratitude just for being alive. You don't have to have a lot of things to be grateful. And learning that collaboration, it reminds me of what I was always told, that the village raises the child. That's what that reminds me of. And it's kind of, we're all on this planet as collaborators, and I think it's really important to be grateful for what we have, and sometimes for what we don't have. And sometimes I think that gets overlooked is as something to also be grateful for, because sometimes the greatest lessons come from the things that we're not experiencing as much as the things that we are experiencing.
That's so true. Yeah, yeah.
When you were a child, what did you want to grow up to be?
Well, I do have a childhood dream, I just like to be acting. I want to be somebody I'm not. So I actually kind of going and say, oh, maybe I can imitate what it's doing and what it's saying. And I imitate animal too, like the barking and all the sound. I just think this is so fun. Somebody, something is not the same like I am, right? So I think I want to be an actress in a very young age. It's like I start to write and I have this paper doll. I just make the story and they say something and I, write it down.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. Then I get that the script to my friend and say, hey, let's do this. You are this. So I was like director of the movie or something. So I have a lot of fun. And I actually want my dog to be handsome. I dress my dog and something like that. So I think, yeah, my childhood dreams really just want to be somebody really flexible and have fun and imitate whatever to represent that somebody. And but I never go there. But now I look at that, I enjoy it to speak on stage, and I can enjoy to observe people and understand why they have to play that roles. So in a way, I'm still have that childhood dream to be an actress or director type of thing. And maybe that's how I become a behavior, doing the habits to tune in people's behavior as well, because that's just my passion.
That's interesting. It does kind of flow into what you do. So that's really interesting when I think about that. And it is really fascinating to see how what we do or what we think about as children begin to play out in our adult lives, even if we don't see it at first or we don't know that it's there. And then we look back and go, oh, that's where that particular thing comes from. And I love that. I was an only child, so I used to dress my dog up. My poor dog was always the sitting by the checkerboard and would be, the counterpart to the checker game and yeah, I love that. So thank you for that memory. Wow. What is something that makes you happy, or what is that something that makes you happy?
Yeah, I mean, the happiness everywhere, right? We need to have this happiness within us all the time. I wasn't really know what made me happy. I know exactly what made me not happy. I just like, oh, those are the things I don't like. So I can run a lot of lists. But now I think that's how I begin to understand what can make me happy, because all the things listed as the trigger or something we are not happy is actually coherent with something can make us happy, right? Once we just take out all those unhappiness items and we start to see, oh, that's how I don't feel happy, because that's in blocking it. So right now, I would say that really the happiness I have is just the connection with things, with the people, with the environments, or in the books. So anything I used to like to do in the childhood, like, play with an animal and play the make-believes, the stories, and read books, and it just singing. I was a singer too. So all the things together, I think that's made me happy. It's just expressing, like showing and sharing, right? The connection with anything around it. I have more and more the connection with myself, because usually just busy and serving and do something else, not to really know who I am. But now I got deeper level to understand myself. Then the universe start to make sense. The sunshine in the past, just, hot, I hate it. But now it's like, oh, I appreciate the sunshine, because they can really nurture everything growing on earth. So it's just the happy for me is the connection. It's a true, deeper, meaningful connection with everything.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I'll add to that, because it's also the connection with ourselves. And understanding that happiness is from within versus from without. So even our interactions with other things, the happiness is what we bring to that interaction with people, with things. And I love that you like to sing. Is that something that you've ever done in a group setting or in public or?
Yeah, I talk about as one of the childhood thing. I want to be on stage. So I don't consider I got good voice, but as a good student, everybody believe everything you do is good, right? So so I represent the school, go out to sing, and solo, and that I'm in the choir. I'm the key member of the choir. But I think one time happened is I represented to go to the contest. Then I fail miserably. So I have this filter say, I'm not good enough, and I give it up. So from that point on, I never sing in that childhood. But I start to do a little bit testing water, singing again is in college. So I become a conductor of the team. Just all right. So I'm just like, okay, but we didn't get any credit. That's my problem again. So I don't think at all to go back to the singing, but I have the good ears. I can identify good singers and I follow them. I just admire their skill. But I think the singing is really a good thing to do. Now I don't care. I can sing in the shower. My voice might not be good anymore, but I just entertain myself, so I don't really worry about that. I think singing is really the way, like a speaking, you have to express yourself. And I recently learned actually singing is good to our digest system because they resonate with our digest system. So if you have some problem, you couldn't really do things and eat or vomit or whatever, just start singing yourself and use the vibrations, get into your inner, and that is very effective too. So I think yes, this singing part, I'm working on it.
I didn't realize that's something new for me. I didn't know that singing could be related to digestive health.
Mm-hmm. So anything sound, actually, the sound therapy and all that resonate with the ancient wisdom too, is all resonate with the energy inside our body. So in certain behavior, the sound you do will activate certain part of our body. So that is very fascinating.
Oh, that is very fascinating, especially since I use the arts in helping people heal and transform from where they're at to where they want to be. And that would be really interesting for people to be able to explore, and I have issues with my digestive system. So it'd be really interesting to know if I should, what I could focus on. I don't want to use the word should, and I'm going to give credit to my life coach here, Rhonda Britton. I am sorry I used the word should. These are things that we get to choose. And the more that we're aware and the more that we understand what's going on with our bodies in relationship to the earth, because I believe in whole body health, like
yes.
Whole body health, the mind, the body, the spirit. And the more alignment there is there, the healthier we are overall. And that's both in our personal relationship with ourselves, our health, and our relationships with the outside world, which includes other people in all aspects of that. And you have a system that helps people understand how to optimize themselves within the energy of the earth and the guides, the spirit, and
I actually just think about that's because my childhood download and observing, and also the navigation. I start to aware the east and west, they are approaching two things differently. And now is perfect, right? We need to actually integrate. So integrate, and I can see actually it's beautiful, like the classical music, for example, if we still talk about sound, classical music, and also the ancient wisdom about different tones, and they
Mhm.
relate to the energy inside. And that is actually totally merged. It's just amazing about that. And also for food. I come in here, I like to eat. My mother never worry about anything put on the front. I just finish it all. I don't care. I just like to eat. But luckily, my mom is really the home style chef, and he cooked along with the 5 elements of ancient wisdom. So everything I eat have a very good foundation for my gut. So, but come to the West, it's different. I have to cook, right? I have to shop. I have to prep. And I never cooked myself before I came to this country. And so I start to explore, but all the childhood downloading, it makes sense. I just imitate,
Right.
what my mother do, that I don't know why, just do it anyway. But pretty much I start to become curious. I say, why they do that way? Why people in the West not doing this? So I get a little bit comparison and all that. I really find out it's amazing. It's just people maybe saying the same thing, but they use a different angle to describe it. So then we living in that society for so long, we just make it, that's the norm, right? But when you travel or you go to different cultures, totally opposite than yours, that didn't make sense to them because they never exposed to it. So
Right.
that is why I understand why we just open-minded. We just try it. We don't really wear any lenses to why they do that. And it become more fun. And that's how I actually doing that all my adulthood in the here. Like I like potluck, but right now become liability. Nobody allowed to bring home the home style meal to the potluck. I remember as a graduate student, we are all poor, right? We don't have, so whenever we have a potluck, it's just like, finally eat something different than my own cooking.
Yeah.
And it's really fun because you learn the culture, you learn their like secret recipe from their grandma, right? Or something like that. And it's just like, oh, I don't know, the spice can do this. It has become so enriched to me. And that's part I really get involved with the cooking. It's really just this philosophy might be the same, but you got a recipe. You can change anything in between, right? So you can create a totally different dish. And
Yeah.
that's how the tiny habit too. Like I'm just want to share. There's a recipe for our habits, so you can ship around. But the goal, if the goal is the same goal, but anything there is personalized, because we need to honor who we are, right? We don't want to against ourselves. We want to choose to be close to who we are. So then we don't have the resistance. I don't want to do it because I just don't fit. But when we choose it, we open it and just have some fun to compare. Then we can grow. That's how I think it's really important to have integration from both sides of the world.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I agree. I love to try new food. And when I was in junior high school, we would have multicultural week. And so
Gosh.
we got to have people bring in dishes
Mm-hmm.
that were related to our cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is it an opportunity to explore who we are, in that moment, but then it was another way to explore who we were within our family dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we could bring out new foods. I have Latvian, for example, in my heritage. So I was really encouraged to create a Latvian dish to bring. And it was a lot of fun to connect that way
Mm-hmm.
and do that collaboration. And yes, the East and the West definitely have for such a long time been such drastically different approaches. And I believe that we're seeing more collaboration. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to run a food truck too. So when I go into like, all my dishes are fusion. I cannot sell pure Asian dishes. I need to have a fusion, like a Thai pad Thai taco. those kind of things. So those things sound crazy because they put together like a new thing and they really want a novelty. So I have no problem with the fusion type. Then I inherit traditional Chinese restaurants, and I have a set of a chef. They are all traditions. They don't want anything different, and even the ingredient, they will stick to that same brand and same ingredient. So I have a problem with it. But then I really respect them because that's how they think that stick it to what they believe. And they don't trust anything novelty and all the fusion. They are like not traditions, but even they make a lot of money, right? So I think it's just really people's belief system really shape what they want to do and what they feel comfortable, right? If they don't really align, you couldn't force them to change. It's not good to force anything to change, even for ourselves, because the force, they didn't do anything good for us because you create this unhappiness, first of all, stress. Then when you're stressed, everything's just not right, and you are become nagging around anybody around you, right? Then you're not sleeping well, then it just totally. So that's how we all know actually emotion create habit. So if you're happy, the habit stick with you naturally, and you force it, you might need more time, you might need stronger willpower, but those things not reliable. It'd be on and gone. Sometimes you're motivated, something not, because that's not you naturally. That's not the habits yet. The habits really when we love to do, we like to perform. You don't even pay attention. They just pop out all the time, right? When you eat, do you think every time you eat chocolate, you have to say, okay, if you do that, you don't have a habit to eat chocolate because you just you just don't pay attention. You just put it in, right? That's the habits. And while we talk about habits, sometimes like, we need to exercise and ditch all the bad things. But that's the reason we need to know what's the bad things. Nothing bad. It's that we have this tendency to do things unconsciously all the time. But that can be your thinking, who you are, or your sleeping behavior, or the voice in your head. This is all our habits unconsciously until we start to pay attention. We say, I don't want this. And you choose to let it go. Then that shift and happen. And like you're doing people teaching how to do the color, everything. That's the visual treatments, right? You start to see things differently.
Right.
That's definitely activation. It's so cool with the five senses, like smell and taste and sound and visual. They only there. Otherwise, we're not aware of differences, the old habits we have inside of us. So it's all fun.
Oh, that's so on point. So on point. Well, that leads me to the next question. And I think we might be here a little bit. You said you have a nice long list for it. What are the things that make you sad or angry?
Yeah. Well, I have to remember when is the last time I got angry. I really everything's fun now. I think the most thing I'm angry is at myself. I rarely angry at things and people. So if I can still remember, I can you use one example that happened when I still owned the restaurants. Yes, I get a little angry about people, how to treat other people. Some customer coming in, we are serving people for you to eat. So you don't need to go shopping. You don't need to cook, you can just pay your money so we can continue to serve you, right? Yeah. But some of the customer really just have this, I give you the money, I own this restaurant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So some of them, they come in, they just like, wow, this, and they just criticize everything. Then I just like, wow, if you really don't like to eat here, why are you coming here in the first place? Huh? Of course I couldn't say, get out that, but I really just get this, it start to have this, you can see like, it's like people really don't sometimes knowing how they say and how they act really impact on others, right? They just, maybe they have things happen in their day, they just not happy. But I really have problem when people not respect others. So I would say if that, other than angry at myself, and that might be my very short of the triggers, because I just they should respect others, you know. So that I would say yes, the disrespectful and all this nonsense about, you know, bias perceptions, and it really give me the anger feeling. But I use it a better way now, not like just yeah.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. That's what I do, is I help people shift that perspective and see the event as in a neutral space, and then you can choose. It's about making choices. So you can choose to see it in a positive, or you can choose to see it in a negative. And of course, I encourage, you know, seeing things in the negative light and being grateful. I really appreciate you bringing that up, and the respect of what somebody's doing, because you're right. When we go to a restaurant, we're paying for the convenience of not having to prep the food, as you were brought up earlier. All those things, we're not cooking for ourselves, we're not paying for the power, we're not paying for the energy, we're not paying for the time to shop. All of those things are being taken care of in that setting for us. And it's a convenience that we're giving a value to. So when we disrespect that space, we actually dishonor ourselves. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it goes beyond just the food. So there's many ways that we show up that way. And I know in the past that I haven't always been the best representative for myself in that way. And I'm very happy that, you know, I've been able to transform that. And now I'm becoming a better version each day, you know, of myself. And that's what I strive to do, is be a better version of myself, and, you know, honor and be grateful for the things that people do make easier for me.
Yeah. Well, we all connected, right? We all collaborated a certain way. That's how, you know, from the ancient time, the human have to bond together to survive. Otherwise, the tiger is going to come in, right? And we still have the same desire to build a tribe and want to support one another. We want to protect our young, right? So we still have this tribal energies. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just sometimes you overload it with rules and boundary and conditions, and you know, for certain type of people, that become a problem, because we all know one another, different function and roles. Just like our body, we have all different cells. So you couldn't say, you know, the brain cell is more important than the skin cell. Like if you don't have a skin, that's the biggest organ, you know? And how are you going to survive with this body, right? So every cell, every function is all important. So when a lot of people say, you know, brain is the thing we're going to take care of, I would say it's part of it. We need to take care everywhere. We need to take care. But if we focus on brain only and we don't do anything, and nothing will happen. So it's the same thing as society. We need to focus on, you don't belittle certain people, right? Or put them down and make them to be lower ranks, and they won't work. Because eventually the society will fail, because nobody's happy there. Yeah.
Oh, that is so true. And I want to go back to what you were saying about our skin being that one,
The biggest organs.
organ, you know, and we often are disconnected from how important water is to our skin.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that aspect of being grateful, getting back to that again. It triggered a memory that I had of somebody who said they don't like rain.
Hmm.
And when you think about, what rain brings, and you illuminate that for them, illustrate that for them, and show them, well, the rain, helps the plants grow. The plants produce food for both the animals and for people.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then there's the water table, and the water we're made up of water. So we have to continue having this cycle, because if one gets too far out of balance, it's just our body and nature very much mirror each other in that
Yes.
way,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
when things get out of balance, then things don't function properly,
Yes,
and,
exactly.
and things
Mm-hmm.
start to go wrong. And I often feel like sometimes we, like you mentioned at the beginning, life is going so fast and shrinking in many ways, the world, because now we have modalities like the computer to bring us in all together in a quicker way. I travel the world without a passport, you know,
Yes.
and that's a reality. And so even though my space is small, but my experiences are huge, and I love that. Um, but our impact. So if we look at nature, okay, I love nature. Well, then I want to nurture nature, and I forget to nurture myself. I'm part of nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. We all the all ming or I was entangled, but we are just part of the miracle. If we are doing things differently and damage the balance and harmonies, yeah, we will have consequences. And but we can definitely make the wise choice, and that's how the pauses when we do something like totally don't think, and then we need to kind of stop before we're doing it and just say, or if that what I say is really make anybody feel good, or it's just causing more of the danger and arguments, right? So if you can choose the words we want to say, right? Or the food, oh, I love this, but I know once I do that, when I stop, it will feel good for a few days. And we can always make that choice. But the difficult part is we just go through too fast, and we don't have a slow opportunity to pause and say yes, and using our judgment a better way other than the judging others to say whether we want to yes or no. Right? We make the decision yes or no, but it's only happen possible is when we slow down our lifestyle. We start to observe, we start to breathe, we start to have a conversation like this. And really that is the needed things for most people in the modern society. Just run, get it done, check, but then we don't have enough space for ourselves, for others, for connections. Then every day just goes through it, and all of a sudden 30 years like me, 30 years, gosh, what did I do? No idea. Just goes through, paying the bill, survive, do this, like, but we are not born to pay bills, right? In so many years, we just paying bill and find the taxes, and but what exactly I did, I really don't have an idea, right? But until we got wiser, we get all the suffering, whatever the story we bring, so we start to question, why, right? And why me? And I think that's a good attitude when we start to have doubts about what happened. And that is the awareness. When you self-doubt, people say it's bad, but if you don't have that to begin with, you're fearless by born, you never know things to protect yourself, that is actually even worse, right? So we need to have a doubt, so we need to have a fear, but it's the skills we can reframe the doubts and fear to be something productive. That is what we need to learn. So I think, that's great. We can all learn it. So this internet, you mentioned about connection with great people, a conversation like this, and we all learn a different way, but then we can share in the space like this, and everybody can benefit from it. I don't need to live like Katana. Right? I don't need to live to Katana's fear or doubts. You don't need to live with Sunny's. But when we share stories, when we write books, and all those things to let people know, they can get the essence about their life, right? So that's how I think. Yeah, that's fine. We can be fearful, we can doubtful, we can be like miserable, we can be depressed, and that is just a process. But then we know we have an option to turn that into different things. That's how the transformation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that leads me to what you do with the tiny habits. These are things that transform your life one step at a time, right? You take small bites and create that as a pattern in your life, because a habit is a pattern that you do over and over and over. And of course, we want those things that empower us and support us, and to replace the things that don't empower us and don't support us.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. And people think tiny habit. What is the brush 1, 2s or and do the one push up will make you transfer your life, right? But the really the essence of all those tiny habits is you make the choice. First of all, you're aware something you don't like to have anymore, so you make the choice, right? But when you have the behavior you want, you will let that behavior become part of you. You don't want to have check mark or a phone ringing or the yellow pack everywhere, because that's draining our power. When we need reminder, when we're not doing that automatically, we waste our brain power. We should do creations or to do communication. That's the brain doing for us. But we're using too much to remind ourselves and to fit in with the society. So the tiny habit, the beauty is the ABC, the recipe is ABC. So what happened, the A is the anchor moment. We all have the old habit, how you eat, what you think is already there. But the anchor moment is for me to find out, okay, if I feel, in the middle of the day, I feel energy drain, and that is the anchor moment. I would do something different so I can boost up my energy, right? So when we do that, that's the anchor moment we define. And B is the behavior, the tiny, the better, because we don't resist to it. So just like Dr. Fa is a very famous recipe, just like after he brushed his teeth, he floss 1 tooth and celebrate. What that did to him is actually friend his day. He has in control. He choose to celebrate. He choose just do 1 tooth. But then now, of course, he's not only do 1 tooth, he do the whole thing, right? That's because the start point is no resistance. So people tune to doing it. But the magic, I would say, is the C. That's the celebration part. Most of us don't celebrate the little wings, right? Who cared about the tooth, 1 tooth? Who cared about just put the shoes on and didn't go out for 20 minutes? But that's the power of it. We label things big and small. So we and the insignificant, this is not worth the celebration. Now we give for the big thing. But when we have that, I think about if you have 10 wins a day, you all boost up your dopamine 10 times, right? Then 10 years, you want to get that promotion. You don't get it. Luckily, you get it in the end. But what if you don't get it? All the stress and all the anger and all the frustration for 10 years. Who is better, right? You get 10 times boost of dopamine, or even dump it to depression for 10 years. So that is really the ABC, the tiny habit really do. It's not the behavior you do it, it's the empowerment. It's that the in control, it's the celebration. So there's a push us forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that resonates with me because that's what I teach. It's small steps, because the small steps are going to help you get to that bigger outcome that you're looking for. And their habits, those little steps, those little habits, those things that you develop along the path those are the things that are going to carry you long term.
Yeah. That's all self-empowerment. We all have this innate wisdom and powers and all the gifts, right? Use them. Otherwise, why we have them in the first place?
Exactly. Oh, that's just so beautiful to reflect upon the empowerment that we are capable of providing to ourselves. And that life has gotten so fast and there's so much information coming in at us all the time. I read articles that I can't even keep up with the amounts of data that are bombarding our brain each and every day, and it continues to grow, and a lot of it is not positive information.
Yep.
And it does have an effect if we don't have the skills and the tools to take that moment. And I want to go back for a second on what you were saying about celebrating one tooth or one push up. And it is critical because one change, 1% a day is 37% a year. And that's a big change. That's one, a little more than 1/3 of your process that you've just changed. And the celebration, I recently learned, is how we help it get settled into our bones, how we get it in our, to for another term, get it in our DNA. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's okay to celebrate that. It's okay to reward yourself just like you would reward your child for doing what you've asked them to do. And if that's not happening, then the encouragement is there is to please put that in place, because it's through the reward that we're motivated to keep doing those things that are good, to keep doing, that which empowers us. We are coming up on the end of our time together today. So I want to get into my next couple of questions. The first one I have is, what is it that you do? Can you share with our listeners what you do and how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. I mean, the best way is just get into my Facebook private group if you are in the Facebook user, and also follow me. I have online the Linktree link, and they have all these offers, and I have a free workshop every month. And because through the interaction, I like to build relationships. So once you get to connect with me through those social channels, then you will be understand more about tiny habit method, because I definitely think that is so powerful. Everybody should know. Then I use the habit to implement your daily behavior. So particular target the self-defeating behaviors that can including eating, thinking, sleeping, because we actually don't do the three things good enough. So I can help people to understand what you're currently doing. Then I will using all different way, the Eastern way or Western way or the science way, because I'm trained by scientists. I'm the molecular biologist. So I studied DNA in and out all my life. Before it's a molecule level, but now I'm the energetic level. And so I can all relate to those. I give you extra tools, key tips and strategies, so you can use it on your way. My role is more like the guide, because I've been through the journey. I'm the single mom, I'm the caregiver, I am the immigrants, like I am blank, I didn't fit in because too long. Then business owner, I run food truck, I run restaurant, I'm doing the teaching Chinese. So all those I am things to me is a process. I know I have the skills to share the strategy I use and work for me, but not necessarily work for everybody. But we would love to become the guide or kind of consultant. Like you can say, I need this solved. I can give you tools. They work through me. I have a 30-day program. I have a 12-week program. Based on that, just using a tiny habit to implement the behavior to get rid of your self-defeating behavior and start to transform and just become thriving with your gifts, because everybody has a gift. Sometimes we're just too busy to shape out some skill. We maybe need more time to develop, but we all have something already shining that we just didn't know, right?
Yes.
So I can be the one to lead you through the process and see who you are, how amazing you are, and you are ready to become different version of you. So that's how I serve.
Well, that's beautiful. I have one last question for you that I ask all of my guests, and that is, what is one thing you would tell your 18-year-old self?
Yeah, so 18 was about to get to my college. Yeah, and I failed that college experiment exam. I'm supposed to be that, but I'm like here, so I'm not. So if that is the case, yes, I would just tell to the 18, so hold your horse. You don't even know where you're going. That's a purpose for you to go that route. Just have fun, enjoy the ride. Even sometimes you are not happy with yourself. Sometimes you just like miserable for years, but there is a light on the end of a tunnel. So just keep moving, and yeah, you will doubt yourself and you will be angry at others, but those is the part of the life. So just keep moving.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think it's so important that keep moving forward part. Life is full of challenges, ups, downs, in betweens, and sometimes often, hard to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep going forward and know that you are on a purpose path.
Yeah. But the other way, to ditch that fear-based philosophy and become purpose-driven life. So.
Well, Pei-Ming, I really appreciate you being here with me today, and I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Katana, and have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you. You too. And to all of the listeners out there, wishing you a beautiful day.
Keep shiny, be positive.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Transformational Art with Katana. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and share the link to this podcast with your family and friends. To connect with me personally, please send an email to transformationalartwithkatana@gmail.com. Have a beautiful day.